Made my own map here. It's pretty basic, flat map. Went ahead and put a lot of roads, kind of like a grid pattern in to make it easier for me. This darker water is from my
Where's the
waste dump.
self-sustained area and like where the areas you're working on?
Alright, so this area right here is the one I started in first. I'll go to my residential, commercial, and all that. This green right here is the light residential. At the beginning, you only have light residential. You don't have the heavy residential. And then some commercial through here. And then basic industry. In this game, there's several types of industry. You zone it industry, but you can use what's called districts to basically make your own zones depending on what resources are there. And you can set it so that industry inside that zone um, does a certain industry. It's like right here there's no district, so these are just basic factories. This one right here I've got set to oil, so all the industry in here is dedicated to oil. Over here this one's set to forest industry, so everything in here, all these trees that are growing, those are actually industry buildings, lumber mill type things. Up here I just recently did a farming one, agriculture. So you have this overlay over here and it shows you what your different resources are. The darker black over here is of course oil, the green is trees, forestry, the yellow is good for farming, and the blue is good for ore type industry. So yeah, there's just the one yellow, but you can divide it up over those different types of industry. They have different benefits, mainly pollution or no pollution type benefits, or just what's available. You can kind of specialize into it some. And also you can use office zones, which I just unlocked on this map, which is this blue color. Those office zones function as jobs,
So if
kind
you
of like take the place of industry.
if you build industries on a specialized area, does it automatically
No.
like go to that type of resource?
It's like use this to create a district. So if I want to, right here, I look on my map, and right now you can only see one view or the other, which kind of sucks, but that's the way it is. So this green means that's good for forestry. So I can take this and create my own district right here, and anything in that district, if I set it to forestry, then that's what every industry in this district is going to be. And you also see these other things here. Those are policies. You can set different policies for different zones. So I could put a zone over my residential area here and say, okay, for this zone, we're going to have a pet ban or a smoking ban or whatever to affect just this one specific zone. And I can also take that zone away. Like right now, I only have general policies affecting everybody. The smoke detector, that reduces my risk of fire, even though it has some extra upkeep. I don't have buildings burning as often. Parks and Recreation helps the land value go up. There's a cost to it, but land value going up is a huge benefit in this game because your buildings upgrade. Um, and then recreational use, so basically my people can smoke pot, and surprisingly that makes crime go down. So it increases the police budget, but significantly or slightly reduces crime rate, increases some tourism. It's like these buildings here, it tells you what it wants to go up a level. Say it'd start off just like right here, and then as you educate your citizens and put in services and stuff, such as
Yeah, if
parks.
people are too high, they don't want to commit crimes. It's too much work.
They're too high to commit crimes, yeah, that's right. So these overlays are really important because you want to make sure you don't run out of power and make sure all your buildings have power. Anything connected in blue has power. Like here's some advanced wind turbines and basic wind turbines. And then I got tired of doing those and I just went ahead and put an old power plant in here for now, which I'll eventually get rid of, but I wanted a big surge of power when I created this zone up here. So I started with this one, and I made that, got it kind of going, had a little bit of positive income, So I was able to do this next one and moved here. And after I did this third one, I finally got enough people to unlock the heavy, the dense residential, dense commercial, and then office zones. All three of those are locked at one time. So I put in a big section just of residential up here, and then this is going to be all office, commercial and industry. And right here I've got two different zones. This area is forestry, this area is for agriculture. So what I did to kind of like maximize my efficiency, you got your whole budget, and some of your biggest expenses are going to come from your services such as health and police and fire.
You have a pretty bad traffic jam right near that Highland district.
I'll come back to that in a second. Life Shadow was asking about the traffic jam. So only the areas in red are that bad. So these are the areas I did first. I kind of did all these ramps, lots of one-way roads through here. The outsides are two-way, but the inner lanes are mostly one-way. I'll zone in on that. So right here you can see these little arrows, they're pointing up. So this road from here to here is just a one-way and then out. And this one's all the way down. The inner ones, I went ahead and made these couple go both ways, and that's so that my services would spread better. Because if you put a service on it, see how it kind of like lights up green, showing where you're going to be able to get coverage to. And so by having those inner ones be both ways, it spreads my services out. So the size of this zone is kind of to maximize the efficiency of one of these buildings. So I've got just this one hospital right here, and you can see pretty much this entire zone has some form of green on it. And if I just put it way over here to the side, then I'd need two to cover this whole area. The hospital is only important for your residential zones. That's why these buildings don't have any color to them. And these buildings, since they're that light blue, that means they've got good coverage. These two do not. Let me see if something's probably going on with those. Probably some sort of pollution issue. Yeah, so they're a little bit too close to this industrial, and your base industrial does a lot of pollution, so that's why these two have pretty low health. It's like this area, this is industry, but this is all forestry, so it's not really producing much pollution. This area up here is farming, it's not going to produce any pollution, but the regular industry over here and then the oil industry here, that's of course going to produce a lot of pollution. That's a landfill, that's why that's doing pollution. That's in the oil power plant. So there's several buildings that cause pollution. There's also noise pollution in this game. The types of roads you use, the amount of traffic, industry of course, and commercial buildings make noise pollution. There's different forms of roads you can put in, like the roads with the tree belts and stuff. Those actually reduce the traffic noise. So if you're really trying to maximize a section of your city for residential, high value residential, you'd want to add some of those roads in if you've got much noise pollution. Since this is light residential, there's not a ton of noise pollution, but this heavier area is going to have more traffic, so I'm eventually going to need to upgrade those roads. Alright, so I just got to notice that my city needs more water, so I'm getting pretty tight on the water. So, going to do a pump, and see how this is the flow of the river that way. For this map I actually created, I don't know if I can zone in on it, but over here I made like a mountain with several levels, and at the top of it I'll put a water source so that the water flows down and then out. It was a bit of a pain at first learning how to make the water flow work, because I had my river set at the same level as sea level, so I had to go through, and you can kind of see right here how there's a little bit of dip in the water. I had to raise my river like 10 feet above the ocean floor, that way the water would actually flow that way, because even though I had a water source over here, the water down here is just kind of all the same. So when I put in
created this map?
Yeah, I designed this map. You can start with just like a blank slate. I'll show you that real quick. It loads really quick in this game. I like that. Map editor, new. You can pick your zone, temperate. I did a temperate one for that one. Go tropical for this. So that's it. They give you a giant thing, and ultimately in the game you start off with one of these squares, and as you progress and go up in levels you can buy additional squares. They're actually not very expensive. By the time you get to the point you can get them, you can pretty much afford them. Yeah, you can make it huge, but you can only buy up to 9 of these. So on that map I was playing, I set up the inner 9 to be the ones I wanted to play on. I wanted to just try and do a really grid-friendly map, just to see how much I can maximize the efficiency. So I don't really have much in there. But yeah, you can go in, you can raise and lower terrain. You can pick the size of your brush to make it bigger or smaller. So I can raise it, or I can set it to raise to a certain height doing the terrain editor. So if I want my terrain height to all be this one level, then I can come through and easily make a plateau like that. That's kind of what I did. I was talking about the mountain. I would do like a section like that. And then I'd come in and I'd raise it a little more.
User left your channel.
And then maybe raise it a third time. And then so I'll go over here and make a water source. So I'll set that here. The water's going to start coming from there, and it's going to flow down, start making little waterfalls, stuff like that. So then I'm going to go over here and lower the terrain. And actually I'll need to make it a little bit above sea level is what I found out you have to do to make it actually flow right. So if I put it to about that level, and I can speed this up so it starts flowing faster, so I do that, so the water's going to fall here, and I'm going to take it out here, and then I'm going to make it go all the way to ocean level. So I'll do this, and when I do this and lower it all the way to ocean level, water's going to start coming in from there. So I'm going to move it back. I'm going to make the ocean actually come into the map a little bit. And now I'll speed it up so you can kind of see how that's going to happen. This water is going to flood in here at the same time as this water source is putting out. And so eventually it's going to meet up right here. And since the river's a little bit higher, the water flow will work. That means if I put a sewage pipe, like right here, the sewage is going to flow out in the ocean. That way I can put my water pumping stations further upriver, so they're sucking up that clean water and the bad water's flowing out. Like I said initially, I had it all one level, so when I put that sewage pipe in here thinking it'd flow that way, the sewage just actually went everywhere, got into my thing, and I had to restart. I had to restart several times. Right now the water's flooding over, but it'll eventually level out once it finds its flow. Unless I don't have enough space for it to drain out. And then those resources I was talking about, you can go in and say, okay, I want this area to have alloy. I want this area to have farming. I want this area to have
It's
oil.
really awesome.
That's farming, those two are oil.
It's really cool that they give you like just a blank map to kind of just make the map whatever you want. Can you like pick random and just have it make like a random map or something?
Well, there's like 10 or so pre-generated map, and then you know how Steam is these days. Everybody's making their own customized stuff, so you can go in there and get maps that people I'm sure have spent 100 hours on making a perfect map. You can add in different kind of foliage, make it thick or make it dense or light, and different kinds of trees you can add in. And so these would be areas that you could zone forestry on. There's also a few other little tools, something about animals. I never really played with that. Make sand, so I can make a beach area. probably don't have. I'd have to tweak this to make it work right. That water will eventually recede, but since it flooded in from the ocean, it's going to take a second to flood back out. I love my Naga mouse, by the way, because I have all my buttons pretty much set up on my mouse. I only have to use one
The water
hand.
doesn't seem to be working too well.
It'll clear up. The water will clear up. And then you've got your highways. You can add those in. They're one ways. You've got your ramps you can add coming off or onto them. One-way traffic in this game works the best. Not having to have to stop at an intersection is definitely the best way. They've also got some pre-generated traffic flows for you to make it easier to set up some of these highways. Things like that. They've got train tracks. You set those up. And to start a map, you actually, it tells you some things you have to do before you can make the map. Like you have to have at least one incoming highway connection and one outgoing highway connection. So I'm going to have to extend one of these roads all the way off the edge of the map. You can see right here, it shows this green going off. And I have to have at least one coming in, at least all the way to a usable map. And you can set your starting zone, which zone, like right now it's just the middle one, but I could change that to this one or whatever one I want it to be. But that starting zone has to have, an access to a highway, and it has to have a water source so you can get water and pump water out. Then you can set up like ferry, where you want your boat lines to be. So same thing as a highway. That's going to be the path of the water, the boats coming in. So you can have them go upriver if your river's wide enough and it's not blocked by like a bridge or something. So I can set up a bridge going across there, and it just automatically does the bridge. You can also raise and lower roads pretty easily. And then there's plane routes you can tell it to make, have those coming on and off screen. That's pretty much it. I mean, it gives you enough tools to, if you really want to play with it.
Just try like a really challenging map, like a bunch of mountains everywhere, or just like islands everywhere.
That would
Just
be
make
pretty
it, like,
hard.
Really challenging.
I'll go show you a couple of the like if I want to start a new game, they've got these different maps already set up here. Like this one is set up, it's labeled as island, so suitable for building 60%. It tells you that it has these different routes available, how much of a resource is. So the starting maps, they're pretty balanced. I did Diamond Coast for my first city. I'll show you that because that's the one I used to unlock. They have what's called unique buildings, and then like these special buildings you can get. Big city. So I wanted to go through and unlock all of those before I actually started my old map. And it's kind of cool because go ahead.
In regards to the industry, like, is there a benefit to getting all different types of industry, or do you specifically, like, if I just wanted to do, like, forestry and the entire map, would that be a downside?
Alright, so forestry wouldn't be too bad. The main difference there is your basic industry is more for your uneducated citizens, whereas your office is for your more, like, your college graduates to, that's where they're going to want to work. So like if you click on a building, it shows you, okay, this is, ideally set up for this many highly educated, this many well-educated. So the uneducated couldn't work here. But if I go and find just a regular yellow industry building, well, this is set up to allow, that's actually a prospecting. Let's see, do I have any basic industry on this map?
So just don't build any schools anywhere. Just do forestry everywhere and no schools.
Yeah, but your buildings aren't going to level up. They've got the different levels, and they're not going to level up. if you don't educate your citizens, and the higher level buildings pay more in taxes. So you definitely want that. So here's the city I kind of had going that I finally unlocked all my stuff on. It's obviously a lot bigger than what I was showing you earlier. Let's see. I started in this zone right here. This is all my regular residential, not the heavy, regular commercial, not the heavy, and then some basic industry. I ended up throwing a couple of office buildings in here later. Then I expanded over here, and then here, and then so on and so forth, or here first. You can see this one just has a giant cluster of interstates to try and alleviate the traffic pressure. I've also got some trains, I've got some subways going through, just everything I do to try and alleviate the pressure. That's why I did that other map. I wanted to try and really play with the grids and stuff like that to make it simpler. Gridding is going to be the easiest way to set up your roads. Some people like to do it more challenging. It might
And that
have
nest
more
of roads
aesthetic.
actually alleviates the traffic.
Well, yeah, because this nest of roads, if you look at it, this area right here, there's no intersections. Everything's one way, like just this flows into that. I mean, there's no stops. Even though there's like this intersection right here, there's no stops. This traffic can just flow on past, and they just kind of all merge in. So, some of these people are trying to get here, some there, some way over here. So what I basically did is I went through, and as I found traffic problems, as I found red areas, I tried to add more roads in to divert some of that traffic, mainly trying to use one-ways as much as possible, add in some subways, things like that to try and help the traffic. Alright, so the unique buildings I was talking about, those actually add a lot of spice to the game. If you will, it adds more challenge, something to kind of work towards goals. So I told you unlock different phases of the game based off the population. So as you unlock the first thing, you unlock this set of buildings. And then as you get to the next population goal, you unlock these. The thing about these buildings, though, even though this section's unlocked, you can't use them until you unlock that building. And each building has a different requirement. So like to get Plaza of the Dead, you have to fill up 3 cemeteries to capacity. Some of them are more difficult than others. Some are you have to have this many industrial buildings built, this many commercial buildings. Some of them are a lot more difficult. Like one of them is you have to have a 50% crime rate for at least X number of weeks. That takes a pretty good toll on your city, and it's actually hard to get your crime up that high. I mean, you have to intentionally...
So they're like achievements, basically.
Yeah, they're different achievements. And the thing is, you want to unlock these, even though these don't really do a whole lot. They basically just count as park buildings and recreation. They kind of increase some land value, stuff like that. But more importantly, they unlock these monument buildings, and these are the goal. And for each one, you have to unlock a certain series of these unique buildings. So like to get this fusion power plant, which supplies just an unholy amount of power, you basically don't ever need any other power plants once you get this one. You can demo every other source of power. It's a clean source of power, and it's awesome.
I do.
Alright, hang on a second. Somebody's asking for my stream. Alright, thanks, Life Shatter.
Got it.
Alright, so to unlock this fusion power plant, I basically had to unlock certain buildings in each one of these zones, each one of these tiers to unlock it. And like I said, some of them are hard. One of them was like, you have to have 1,000 abandoned buildings in your city for this amount of time. And some of them I really had to play with my city. Like, I'd have to take a whole section of the city and cut off all power to it so that all those buildings got abandoned. But I had to make sure the rest of my economy could take such a hit for that amount of time, or I risk bankrupting the whole city.
Anymore? Like, why'd you start a new one?
I wanted to make my own map and try really gridding to see if I could completely alleviate the traffic. It's like these unique buildings. I got them all unlocked. I've got them all put in. Like this space elevator that greatly increases your tourism. That's one of the buildings. I think it was actually the first one I unlocked. There's space elevator. fusion power plant, I mentioned that one is the one that supplies your power forever. So like you see my electricity right here. I've got production of 16,000, and this giant city is only using 2,000. So I mean, it's a.
You might be the worst road architect I've ever seen, Jim.
Thank you, Kalanos, for saying I'm the worst road architect ever. This is just, I built it as I leveled up, and I didn't go back and like perfectly fix everything because I was just trying to make it effective enough to get all my achievements, and then I'll go make a pretty city on my other thing. So there's the fusion power plant. The upkeep's pretty significant, so you couldn't like just have like a very small city and plop it in. You gotta be able to support it, but it's definitely worth it once you can afford it. The medical center, that I was able to bulldoze all my hospitals after I got that. The Eden project, that increases land value.
I'm telling you, man, you should make a map.
Like
with,
everything
really
is
small
green.
Islands everywhere.
Map of really small islands. That would be
Just go,
challenging.
like, super challenge mode.
So an interesting thing about these achievement buildings, once you unlock them on your account, they're unlocked permanently. So when I go to my new map, all of these buildings, I don't have to redo these achievements, and I don't have to redo these guys. I just have to get to that tier. So I have to get to that certain population cap. So I'll go load my other map, the new one I was working on. Worst road architect. I don't know. Alright, so on this one, I actually have recently gotten enough population to unlock all the tiers. But as you can see, I haven't done all the achievements, but these buildings are available for me to use. You only put them in once per city, but I don't have to re-unlock them. So once I get a population of 85,000, which I'm pretty far off from, I'll be able to put in those, I can't even select them right now, but I'll be able to get to the monument buildings and start putting in those fusion power plants, the giant health center and stuff like that. So like on this map, I don't have anything in the green land value yet. I've got some that are getting kind of that teal, and I've got a lot of blue. But once you put in that Eden project, that really helps your land value, which makes your buildings level up, which gets your income going up. Right now I've got a 12,000 positive income, which is actually really good for this game. That'll give me funds. As you can see, I've already got a bank worth of funds building up because I'd put in these roads already to make it a lot easier for me to grid it off. So I'll play with this map some. I'll buy these. Like I said, you can buy new sections. Right now I've only bought 2, but I've unlocked enough of my tiers I can go ahead and start buying some more. And the price for this one, it's less than 8,000. So I mean, I can buy that and not even think about it. That's not expensive. Go ahead and see how many I can purchase for now. So okay, so I can only get 5 of them, and before you can unlock these buildings, you have to have purchased all 9, at least 9 squares. There you can over there see the waterfall I did, just kind of what I did on that other map. Just made a basic water source. It flows down, flows out, takes all that sewage out of the map. So yeah, parks and recreation, and a lot of those to increase your land value, increase the happiness of your residential zones. I've actually got one, like most of these cost various amounts, 7,000, 15,000. You see the upkeep of 120 a week, 160 a week, 40 a week. But I got this Paradox Plaza. It's just something else the devs threw in, I forget why. But it's cheaper than pretty much everything else, and it's got a cheaper upkeep. So all my parks and plazas right now are just this one building because it was the most cost effective. I see right here I haven't put any in this area yet, so they're definitely not happy. So if I go in and add some of these, add a couple in, you can see it already increasing their
Kip, as an
happiness.
FYI, that Paradox Plaza, that logo in the center of it's the Paradox logo.
Yeah, the dev logo. Yeah. So yeah, I can go maximize that later, but I told you about landfills filling up. You start off, initially, you don't have either of these, but then you unlock the landfill site, and then you unlock the incineration plant. But before you unlock the incineration plant, you've got these
What is the
landfills.
Paradox Plaza? What's it supposed to be?
The Paradox Plaza is leisure. So you see this legend up here. It's got low to high. It makes your residential areas happier. And you see these arrows going up. You can probably hear it making that little chime. That means those buildings are leveling up. They're getting bigger. They're doing new construction. And see how that's increasing because I put the leisure in. Before I started adding those in, all these buildings were red, and so they weren't very happy with me. They weren't going to level up until I increased the services that they had available to them. So I put the parks in. They're happier. They're building bigger homes. So that's more people, more taxes. It's definitely worth it to increase your land value. But like this landfill site, this one's full. So if you're not paying attention and you're just building away, eventually your city's going to be full of trash if you don't realize that this is filled up. So once it fills up, you cut it off and then you build a new one up until the point when you get an incineration plant like this one, and that can burn the garbage off and actually produces a small amount of power, 12 megawatts of power, which is actually a little bit more than a basic wind turbine. An advanced wind turbine can put out more depending on the wind speeds in the area, but it's burning it off. So what you do, you go over here to this one, and I'm going to tell it to empty the building to this field to another facility. So this incineration plant is going to slowly over time pick up trash in this landfill, come back and burn it, and then that landfill will end up like this one, completely empty.
Those solar wind powered turbines next to the sewage and the water is really nice.
You got your eco-friendly next to your sewage. Yeah, it's great. But like this landfill, it produces a lot of pollution. It's nasty for the area, at least when it's active and being used, like that full one. And if I want to bulldoze it, I can't. It won't let me because it's not empty. It's got trash in there. But this one, I've already had it emptied out, so I can destroy it and eventually clean up my city a lot. And that's going to be the same thing.
What's all that sewage coming from? I mean, is there any way to avoid just like dumping massive amounts of sewage into the river?
Nope.
Is there any alternatives to that?
You start off with the drain pipe. It's one of the first things you get, and you can just dump into the water. You eventually get the water treatment plant, which reduces the pollution 85%. So I can add that in right here, connect it with the pipes. And that's going to drastically help the sewage, but it will never completely get rid of it. So now I probably want to go ahead and add another one of those in before I bulldoze other things. That's probably going to be overkill, but now I can get rid of these sewage dumps. And so this water is going to start clearing up. And this area will completely clear up. This area down here is going to stay a little tinted. Because like I said, it only reduces at 85%, but it sure helps. So you can already see this water's pushing down river. I'll speed it up. Got a nice water current through here. I could dam it up and put a hydro plant in here too, but I'm going to hold off on doing that. The solar power plant is pretty much the best thing you can get before you get that fusion one, because its upkeep is actually better than the nuclear power plant. I think Kalanos, you were in the channel with me the other day when I was trying to figure out the math on that. Yeah, see, like this area is already completely cleared up from the sewage. Alright, so over here I've got some trash building up, so that probably means this guy, he's only got 6 of his 7 trucks in use.
So why did your income go way down after making that change? You went from 12K to 9K?
So, right here, well, that's part of it, I guess. I cut on that other dump over here and told it to start taking out its trash, and then I added those 2 sewage things. So two of your biggest expenses end up being your trash disposal and your health, because your health also includes your incinerations, your crematorium. So getting rid of those dead bodies is actually something you constantly have to keep an eye on. But it does make people happy to get rid of the dead bodies. They don't want them around. So you can see this makes that area green, and I'll get a bunch of smiley faces for those people for getting rid of the corpses. If you don't get rid of them, like right now, ooh. Yeah, I've got trash things over this. It means they're not getting enough trash pickup. Something's wrong with the sewage here. I'm not getting rid of enough sewage. So I guess 2 was not enough. Third. That'll eventually make people start leaving or go to crime, stuff like that. So I'm not really paying too good of attention to my mechanics right now while I'm talking to you guys. That's why I've got these things going on. Yeah, you can really cut in your budget in a hurry though when you start putting these services in a hurry. So I'm putting my pollution producing things over here by the industry away from this residential.
By the way, Tuba's Big in here makes you like top 5 Twitch channel right now.
Wow, that's pretty terrible. I wish I had more time to stream. I enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed playing games and having people to communicate with while I play.
Viewers in the chat.
Oh, okay. Well, let me talk to the 2 of you in chat. Oh, I've got. All right. Which one of you is Ceramic Rooster? Wow. Alright, so I think that pretty much covers most of the basics of the game. How about I start off a new game real quick just to show you the very beginnings of it. I need to do an actual YouTube video and show the basics of the game.
Like, what, yeah, from the beginning would probably be really good.
Alright, so here's my map. I can select one of the defaults. Oh, I guess I just did select a default one. I don't even know which one I picked. So
ridiculous island map.
It'll be a new one. Make the ridiculous island map. I'll let you create that one and then I'll play it. Alright, so I'm going to pause it so I don't incur any expenses to begin with. So here's the overall map. Here's the area I can start in. And let's see. Looks like the water's going to be flowing this way out to the ocean. So what I want to keep in mind first is I've only got a limited amount of money to spend. I'm going to need to put in roads, which you have to do a road first before it unlocks anything else.
Can you move the area that you started?
With your default maps, I don't think you can. With your custom maps, you can. Alright, so I've unlocked different kinds of roads. Not all the roads. I can't put in highways yet. I can't put in some of these nicer roads. The nicer roads have like the tree belts and the grass and everything, and that reduces noise pollution. Alright, so I've got just some basic roads, and the only utilities I have right now are coal power and wind turbine power, and then some power lines. And then I've got water tower, pumping station, and then sewage. So I know I'm going to need to have both of those services or I won't be able to build a city. So my first road is going to at least have to stretch down close enough down there, or at least my power is going to stretch down there and my pipes are going to have to come up here, one way or the other. So I guess I'll make a one-way going in. And it gives you these grids that make it a lot easier if you go off the grids. So we're going to do that. Go to there. Now I just put that road in backwards, but this nice little tool lets you upgrade roads, but if you right click on it, it changes the direction of a one-way road. I don't think they had that in there originally, so a lot of the streams that I watched before I got the game, they were saying they wish they had that feature and could change the direction. Well, it is in now. Alright, so that's there. Alright, I'll give them a basic turnaround here. either way. And I'm not going to plan this one out too well, so I'm just going to start building, go over a few, maximize my efficiency by making these lines line up. Let's go over 3 and down. Let's see, go up 1 and over. Now I'll have to change the direction on that one. Alright, just add some more in real quick here. Two to 3 is about as wide as you want a street before you're going to start getting into some more major traffic issues. Alright, that's not perfectly even, but oh well. Alright, so I've got some basic area there. I'm going to go in and I'll make this area be... You've got several buttons over here. You can make it like a grid that you can drag across. You can like paint an area, paint a bigger area, or do the fill button. They're going to want residential. I'm going to want to keep that away from my industrial. So I'll use a little bit of buffer zone with commercial. And they're going to want some power. So power produces noise. So I'll put that over here near the industrial. It shows the area that's going to be affected. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a little quicker and get some power going down here. Power goes from building to building, so as this area builds up, I won't need the power lines. And then I've got to have water. So I'm going to try and put these two down here close enough together so that I can use one solar power to power them both, but not so close that the good water is going to get sucked up, be sucking up the bad water, the sewage. So connect that there, run a pipe all the way here. And again, I'm not being extremely efficient right now. Alright, so they've got power, they've got water, so now I can go ahead and tell this to start going. And people will start moving in. First the residential is going to start filling up. Go ahead and start making some more areas so I can get some other buildings unlocked real quick here. Oh my gosh. There we go.
Wow, they give you a lot of tools to make it really nice to build stuff, like seeing the grid and making the roads like not have to necessarily go straight.
Yeah, so like they give you this tool to make curved roads. So I go one square this way and then one square that way, and it makes a perfectly circle road if I follow that pattern all the way through, at least if I hit the buttons right. So I can go one up, one up. So I could basically make a roundabout if I wanted to. And they do give you some default roundabouts so you don't have to do it all yourself. So I come down here, make that, and then add in, well, I'm still on the curved road. You can do zigzag roads, but do that. And that way I can use that as like the hub of my city and make some roads off of this. So go over here. And so that way traffic can flow around. Add some, let's just do a whole grid of residential here. Had to make sure they have some water. Water's still high enough. Let's go ahead and connect this road, come to here, give them a way out there. Now that's really too close to have an intersection, but alright, so here's my first milestone. I reached 400 population, so I've got some new features. I can take out loans now. Garbage, which now I have to deal with garbage, and then I can put in some health care, some education, the landfill site, and they also give you a little bonus for hitting that milestone. So the first thing I'm going to do is get the landfill in, because in a hurry they're going to start producing a lot of trash and getting all pissed off at me if I don't give them a way to get rid of that. So let's take this over here so it's not pissing off everybody. And that area is going to be this pollution area, the purple area. Alright, power is an issue at first because these things are expensive. I mean, $6,000 for one of these is a lot early on, and you're going to need a lot of power. So power, it can go from 0 to 8 megawatts per one of these stations based off the wind. So like right here, I'm only getting 4. If I go over here to a darker area, that means there's more wind, and I can get more power, more bang for my buck. Just connect that there to an area in blue, and now the power is, I've got plenty of power for now.
Why do you pretty much only go with wind turbines? Why don't you go with something else?
I do the wind turbines, one, because they're cheaper initially, just that initial
Like an oil
investment,
refinery or something like that.
and then
Is
these
there too much
produce pollution.
Or does the price not make any sense?
Well, the price, these are only 6,000, that's 19,000, and like I haven't even put in the healthcare yet, which is 10,000, and the school, which is another 10,000. So I mean, if I don't even have enough money to put in both of those, and it'd be a little overkill for me to have. Well, I mean, that wouldn't be a terrible amount of coal. I just try and keep it clean power, and plus I can put these where I need them. So like I can put one over here, and that way I don't have to have power lines going across the world, because power lines cost money and they have an upkeep, and they just get in your way. And if you build something across them, then it cuts off that power grid, and you may lose power to something. So I've got my economy going a little bit. I only have a few of these expenses so far. And that's the basis. So now I'm going to start watching these down here that tell me what the people want. They want residential. They want industrial. Of course, they also want services, or they're not going to come build. So healthcare, of course, is going to make my people happy. And now I don't have it very efficient right now because I have my two residential zones split. So since there's like a lot of one-way roads and everything, this, if I put the medical clinic way over here, it's not going to help these guys over here. Alright, so I just reached another milestone, 800 people. So now I can put in fire and police. I can also do some zoning, like I was talking about earlier. I can look on the map and say, okay, what do I have available? So this map has a little bit of forestry here. It's got a lot of good zone down here for farming. Farming is a clean industry, so I'm probably going to want to eventually go towards the farming side of things. So maybe extend this down over here. And we'll make a couple of grids worth of bigger tool. So this whole area is good for farming. I don't like that you have to switch tools to see where it is and isn't, but we'll call, you can rename that if you want to, but for now I'm just going to label it as agriculture. And so now any industry that I put over here is going to automatically go to agriculture, and they're going to want some power. So let's see, let's get some more residential going over here.
You must not have a lot of athletic people in your cities, kid.
Have a lot of what people? Alright, so I'm putting this in now, so I'm going to have some health care at least. Or was that the school? I think I should put in the school. Oh yeah, it looks like it. Now I'm putting the school.
Epileptics, man, they don't like the turbines. It causes epileptic seizures from the
Oh, really?
rotating light.
I did not know that. Well, we don't let those people in our cities anyway. Anybody with a handicap is not welcome. We're mean like that. Alright, so right now this is not a big deal. I've got just 2 of my 15 trucks out, 2% full, but eventually I will have to pay a lot more attention to that garbage. Alright, so now I can put high schools in. I've unlocked level 2 unique buildings. Parks and recreations are in, or that specialization is rather. So here's my unique buildings. You can see I can't even access these higher tiers, but I can put in these 2 lower tiers if I can afford them. They would increase like land value. You see the red circle around it? That initial red circle is the noise pollution, and that big green circle, everything inside that gets the land value increase. And like this building, they have different amounts of noise pollution. Like this one's 10 noise pollution, that's 30. So you want to pay attention to how much noise pollution it puts out. You don't want to put something with really high noise pollution right in the middle of your residential area. Like this mall of moderation, they might not be too happy about that if I put that right there. And again, unlocking these lets you eventually unlock those monument buildings. So, and it adds some fun to the game, some achievements, and you actually get something for the achievements. Alright, so water. I did not extend my pipes over here yet. Alright, so now they have water, they can shut up. Alright, so now everybody's got water. Alright, so policies. I always like to do the smoke detector because that decreases the risk of fire. Parks and recreations, that'll increase the budget for that, but definitely want the extra land increase. I haven't gotten to the tier yet that I can unlock some of these other ones. I don't like doing the pet ban because that makes some people less happy, even though it makes less trash. And smoking ban pisses people off, but it increases health. But I don't want to do anything to tick my people off. I want to keep them happy, keep them moving in, keep them paying those taxes, right? It's all about making them pay taxes. Alright, so an abandoned building, those will eventually be rebuilt on, but it decreases the land value around them. So if you're like in a lull where you're waiting for money to come in or something, go ahead and get rid of all those buildings. Alright, so I've got a fire over here, no fire station yet. Gonna want to keep that kind of close to my industrial area. And that's a one-way road, so I'm gonna have to change that so that that fire coverage will extend to everybody. Alright, so now it's a two-way road, so now that fire coverage, well, that fire coverage goes back this way too now. Alright, so I got some crime going on over here and a loss of power. So I'd like to put the coal one in so I don't have to worry about it anymore. I think I may go ahead and do that, but I need some more money first. So I'm going to wait to get a little bit more funds and slap that down. But if I wait too long, these people are going to move out. So it's kind of a balancing. So that roundabout just really helps the flow of traffic because they're not having to come to complete stops. You know, they just yield flow. Oh, these people are getting
Hey,
happy.
no power should generate some babies.
How does no power generate babies? Alright, let's put I'm gonna put this over here by this because we already pissed people off over here. Alright, so now I should have plenty of power to last me for a while. Do some more expansion. And I have enough that I can go ahead and buy.
You've never heard about that before? In major urban cities, when they have power outages, they have a birth spike 9 months later.
I did not know that. Alright, so the next plot of land I want to buy over here because that'll give me access to this highway and I can put additional on-ramps and stuff. Costs $4,000, so it's not a ton. I don't quite have that yet, but I'll have it before too long. By the time I need to expand, I'll definitely have the money for it. Let's see. Like this. And they want some commercial. So let's give them some commercial. I usually don't like to put buildings on the main roads in or out of the city, but I don't care right this second. Alright, so they're really unhappy about the crime rate. So 34%, yeah, that's pretty high. I don't have any police stations yet. The hardest part of the game is getting started. Like, I've got fires going and only one fire station. Got tons of crime.